Good afternoon, everyone. Jeff Mueller, class of 1979, Ken Maurice here for the Bulldog History Channel, and I'm here with Mr. Kevin LoVullo. Kevin, how are you today?
Doing well, Jeff. Thank you for including me.
All right, great to see you. Great to see you. We're going to talk a little bit today about Ken Maurice, a little bit about what it was like back in the 70s, 80s when Kevin was there, and talk about what Kevin's done in his days since then, and have a little bit of fun this morning.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, but Kevin, could tell us a little bit about yourself, your age, where you reside, when you graduated. I know you were inducted into our Hall of Distinction.
Yes.
If any of those dates are on the top of your head, if you could let us know.
Sure. I'm 66 years old. I'm the class of 1978, and this was a wonderful experience that I've had, meeting so many people in a class of maybe 750 kids, and it's just been an ongoing relationships that I've had with many of them to date. And growing up in the town of Tonawanda with 4 siblings, my mom and dad, in a 1,900 square foot home with 1.5 baths. We had a wonderful childhood and wonderful growing up in Kenmore zip code of Woodland Drive, but technically in the town of Tonawanda.
No, that's great. That's great. And I'll tell you, I've been talking to a number of classes that have been having reunions and all. And when you talk to the younger kids, they can't believe there were 700, 800. I think Mr. Jim Dunnigan told us that the highest was something like 1,050 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Do you remember by chance that, like, the principal and the assistant that was there who was sort of leading the charge at Ken Maurice when
If I
you were there?
recall, the principal is Mr. Witzig.
Yep.
L. Witzig.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Witzig.
Short, stocky guy, big, glasses, black rimmed glasses, jet black hair. Gentleman. I've never had any conversations with him. Sent down to the principal's office, I think once. It was just a stupid being late for class or whatever it was. I don't remember. But no, everybody there, the students, I'm still friends with Coach Tock, Gary Tock, who I admired on the track and field team.
Yeah, legendary names at Ken Maurice. No, that's fantastic. I might have had season tickets at the office myself. I would tend to finish my work early, and then I sort of raised HECK, as they said, back in the day. But can you tell me, when you were there, now we're talking like late 70s into the early 80s, what was sort of the atmosphere there? What were the students like? What kind of socializing took place? Where'd you guys hang out? What kind of things did you do? What was the student body and the atmosphere like there?
It was quite diverse, and we're talking 1975 to 78. It was a 3-year high school in the day. So you went there as a sophomore, graduated as a senior. But my freshman year, unlike many that are my classmates of my class of 78 went to Hoover or Ben Franklin. I went to Blessed Sacrament. In my 9th grade, I went to St. Joe's. And going to St. Joe's was, I was almost like a fish out of water. There was I was very shy, very introvert individual, and it was very difficult to make friends and to excel in that school where all of my friends that I've known growing up went off to Ken East. So in my sophomore year, I transferred to Ken East in 75, graduated there in 78. And as I said, with 750 kids, you have such a diversity of personalities, athletics, academics, and everything in between. And it's just, it was quite diverse and a good group of people that I'm still friends with some of them today.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the more recent classes marvel at. When I tell them that it was 10th, 11th, it wasn't even 4 years of high school at Ken Maurice, because now there's 8th grade. It's 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 at Ken Maurice. So sort of interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very interesting there. And so school, much larger classes, back during the 70s. How about the summers? What were the summers like when you were off? Was it sports? Were you working the side hustle, making a couple of dollars? What were summers
Yeah.
like in between?
You know, summers were always working. And again, I was still establishing friendships, being very shy, as I said, as an introvert. But I worked a lot. And I remember working in my dad's office in those summer months, who was in the Genesee building downtown, which is now the Hyatt, uh,
Mm.
the insurance business that we had, LoVullo Associates. And just doing basic filing and working the mailroom and just doing some grunt work, which was a great experience for, you know, a 17, 16, 15-year-old. I really enjoyed it, made a few bucks, and it's amazing how you learn just by watching and listening to people that were professionals much older than you.
Mm.
And I think that's what really intrigued me to really help me in what I do today.
No, that's great. So helping inside the family business, getting a peek under the hood as to how businesses run. Doing the basics like many of us did. But that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Is there and maybe you told us already? The next question we had was maybe tell us one thing that most people might not know about you, and those that have probably seen you on the television here and know you from events in person would probably say that they never thought maybe you were shy, kind of an individual. But is there any one thing that people might not know about you? Or
I think the first thing that comes to mind, Jeff, I was a C student. I really didn't apply myself in school. I enjoyed school, but I listened, I watched. I think I was more of an observer of what the teachers, of how they were communicating to the students. The content was there. I didn't fail. I passed everything, but I just didn't apply myself. And I think, as well as being an introvert and very shy and timid, with all these personalities around me, was intimidating, very much so, and the sense of concentration really wasn't there. I found that after graduation and then getting married at 25, 26 years old, and you go through so many things that I'm sure we'll get into, that for me, I think life really started at 50 years old.
Right.
Because you've been through so many diverse things of adversity, of some wonderful things, and as you hit that 50-year mark, I thought that was the threshold of just who cares, just go do it. And that's where I start taking chances, making calculated risks, and ended up doing what I'm doing today, which is we'll get to, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, that's great. And it's interesting. I'm not going to be able to tell you who said it, but there's a saying out there that said, a teacher or professor said, I love my A and my B students. They're great kids. They work hard and they put up the grades. But he said, my B and my C students, they're the ones that go out and change the world.
Yeah.
Maybe they're hungrier, maybe they've been scrapping and fighting a little harder. But just interesting. Yeah, very, very interesting, especially in light of all the incredible things that you've accomplished. And as you're saying, in maybe 50 on. And so here's just a thought. Now that you've got some of those years behind you, and you're able to look back a little bit, and this is in relation to sort of like maybe education and student populations. How do you think things have changed over the years? From what you see today versus back in the 70s, and that was my time period. Good or bad in your opinion, or is it just times moving forward, or any thoughts?
I think it's unbelievable where we're at today. With technology and the way things are in our society, it's not perfect. But if we can go back to the 70s or even the 60s, which was quite turbulent, every decade had something going on. But for right now, if there's a decade or a period of time of opportunity, it's right now. And I think as I said, with technology, that is just making it, opening so many doors for so many people to do so many unique things. But we need to adjust to the times. Many people are just stagnant and not knowing where to go. I find that in today's society, we're in a golden time as we were, in the 90s and 80s and 70s. You just got to kind of build on those pluses of what we have in front of us. And, many times you hear, oh, the 20-year-olds or the teens today, they're not like what we were. Well, you know what? I'm sure that back in our day, they were saying the same thing. And, just give it time. It's just a different time. We need to adjust ourselves to the time. So be an optimist and just build on those pluses that you have.
That's right. And it's interesting. We were talking, myself playing music and being a musician. When I look at the technology in the home studios, the ability to distribute music like they can on SoundCloud and up on the web and et cetera, it to me it seems like a gold rush, just like you're saying.
Sure.
Just fantastic. Now, how about sports? You did mention Coach Talk, and I know from talking to some of your compatriots in class, you played some sports. Can you tell us a little bit about the sports? A favorite coach or two out there?
Sure.
What were the locker rooms like maybe back in the day?
This kind of funnels into being shy. I was an athlete outside of school, but track, I was always fast. I was a sprinter. Even in my elementary days, Thomas Jefferson school, we would have the 50-yard dash and I would win. So I was a sprinter, and as I got to Ken East, I was the sprinter in 1978. So working with Gary Talk and Denny Sanfrini, the late Mr. Sanfrini.
Mr. C.
He was
Mr.
the
C.
field coach, and Gary was the track coach. And but I had a wonderful time with that. Great experience. Won a lot of races, and my senior year, I tried out for football. And many of my friends at the time were on the team, so I gave it a shot and never played. I played a couple plays when we were up, by 30 or 40 points. They put me in.
That's impressive to me that in really your pinnacle year that you shifted sports like that. Usually you'd have to be playing since you're 8 or 10 years old to even give it a go. So that's very impressive to me.
Well, I think the speed that I had, I was a sprinter. I think Mr. Adams, Sparky Adams, was happy to see that. And I think one of the questions that and if I may just lead into it, is that with Sparky Adams, if there's anything that I've learned in life that I use today, there was an instance in practice where I was to block. We were doing a PAT, points after touchdown. So I was on the end, and there was a defender who just dove over my shoulder to block the extra kick. Now this was in practice, and it happened a second time, and Coach Adams pulled me out and put somebody else in for this practice. And at the end of practice, as we're jogging to the locker room, I asked Coach Adams if he could give me another chance. I've learned what I need to do, and I'm getting kind of a chill right now telling you this. And it was the time where he gave me another chance. And I think that's something I won't forget, because in life, whether it be your family or coworker or neighbor, or whoever, give a second chance to somebody, because you never know. And that's something that Coach Sparky Adams has instilled in me as a kid, and I try to practice it every day.
No, that's fantastic.
Yep.
So it sounds like then you had some great relationships on the team. Probably made some great friendships with them. Any particular individuals on the teams at all that come to mind, or?
Jim Pritchard was a friend of mine. We lived in the same neighborhood. Doug Gugino lived around the corner from me. Both athletes went on to college. I think Jim went to Columbia as a running back. Columbia University. I think Doug went to West Point and then off to Penn, University of Pennsylvania. Jim Shraven was a cross-country runner, another friend. It was really the four of us kind of hung during those junior, senior years. But
and I know from the names you're mentioning, those are all really like Hall of Fame. I know Jimmy at Columbia, and there was Neil Boron, went to BC,
Yeah.
all top talents that really went to some real good top schools.
Not to leave
moving forward.
Neil Boron out, a wonderful man, even to this day, for sure.
No, that's great. Then,
Yeah.
then what do you think? You've talked about the education side. The people you met, the sports and the lessons you learned in sports. Do you think Ken Maurice prepared you for what you were going to face as you left the halls and moved on in your career or your education?
Yeah, I think it did because, when you're walking the halls with all walks of life, it was going to school in school. You're meeting such diversity of people, of intelligence, of athletics, of income, of everything, personalities. That kind of helped, because once you got out of school and you get into the work of life, life of work, you meet those diverse people, and I think that was a great foundation of being walking those halls and being in classrooms with those kids.
No, that's great, and we sort of alluded to it earlier, and that's a fabulous transition. As you left Ken Maurice, what was the route you took afterwards? Maybe the major or the work you went into. What direction did you go? And then maybe talk a little bit about that path in your career and what path that took as you got to where you are today.
When I was a junior in high school at Kent East, my dad came up to me and says, "Do you want to go to college, or do you want to come work in the office?" And as a 16, 17-year-old, whatever it was, and I already had, some summer work there, as I said before, let's go make some money. So it was June 26, 1978, the day after graduation. I put on the tie and went to work in the office, continued on in the mailroom, filing, just the basics. Received my insurance broker's license a couple years later, and just learned the business. And it wasn't only the technical side of the business, it was just how to work with people and the diversity of people and the experiences that I've had. It was difficult because here you have the boss's son, working in a business where people are established and much older than me. That was difficult for me to break through that barrier. And it was several years before, things kind of chilled a little bit. But I remember having an ulcer and just a tough time at 20, 21 years old. But you keep your nose down, you do your work, and you be consistent, and the respect came. And we started a company in 1980 that I was partnered with. It was a sister company to the insurance end. It was a premium finance company by the name of Ardent Premium Plan. And my job was to travel New York State to call on customers. These are insurance brokers, and what we did was we financed insurance premiums. And we did that in 13 states. And in 1998, somebody came up to us to make an offer to purchase us. We weren't looking to sell, and we sold it. So that was in 1998. They gave me a 3-year employment contract, and here I am, 40 years old, and I have had these resources. I resigned after 7 months and wanted to go do my own thing. And that was a bittersweet moment. That was 99 of March, and being of 40 years old, it's like, what's up? So
yeah, and it sounds like very much the entrepreneur spirit and bug was in you, because you had started something, then you, as you say, you sold it, but then you were thinking, what's next? What do I do next, and maybe what do I start next? That sounds incredibly exciting.
What happened with that, if I may interrupt,
Sure,
Jeff,
sure.
is that I started landscaping my home, so I would hit all the nurseries in Western New York when I had that first free summer to do whatever, and I found that many of the nurseries had the same old plants. I would travel to Toronto or the Hudson Valley region to see what they're doing, and make a long story short, I purchase property on Transit Road in East Amherst and open up a garden center.
Wow.
So I would travel to California and to Oregon to handpick these specimen plants and sell them at a garden center that we built. We had popcorn, we had strawberries, we had all these beautiful plants. And at the time, Spalding Lake was being built, and you have these monster homes. So instead of having these typical 6-foot Japanese maples that you would see at your typical garden center, we would go out to California, Oregon, and bring back, 15 by 15 foot trees, and had them shipped, and we sold those to homes like that. And that was just a wonderful experience with the kids involved and sweeping and watering, and deja vu happened in 2005. Somebody came in, made an offer to buy everything, and we sold that in August of '05.
Just fascinating too.
Yeah.
Now, Kenmore East, and then insurance industry, then into finance, now over into, let's say, maybe specialty, plants and that type of work. Just absolutely fascinating, but all a start your business entrepreneurial kind of a focus and seed within you that is incredible. Now, we do see you today a little bit on the television, and so there's got to be a point between the property on Transit there and then maybe over to what you're doing more today. How about that little piece? Not to prod or to poke too much. But,
no, please. Growing up as a kid, even in Ken East days and thereafter, drinking beer was like, we drank it like water. As you get older, that beer went bye-bye and wine became of interest. And after we sold Pro Gardens on Transit Road in East Amherst in August of '05, I started collecting wine. And I enjoyed reading this monthly trade journal called Wine Spectator. And when you open up the inside back cover and you see all the Q&A, they would interview, celebrities. It could be rock stars or musicians, athletes, whoever, movie stars. And I was always curious to hear their side of wine. And I said, I want to do something like that. So I got a micro cassette player and I interviewed 68 people throughout Western New York. Went out to California, sat under the Golden Gate Bridge, interviewed some winemakers down there.
Wow. And
wanted to put this book together called Spiel the Wine. And Spiel the Wine is just a play on words from a song called Spill the Wine that I'm sure you're familiar with. It's just a 1970, bohemian type tune by Eric Burden and War. So Spiel the Wine, spiel, talk the wine. And my neighbor friend Paul Dressel was instrumental of having me meet a woman who has written books before and happened to like wine as well. And she was helping me putting this book together and said, you got the pipes for radio. Have you ever considered radio? What are you talking about? Now, again, there's some still shyness cooking here.
Yeah, but you got the radio voice.
And the radio went, and that was, we started that in, that would have been May of '09, 2009, May 9th of '09. And that evolved to television January 21 of 21. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. Of 12. So it's 1-2-1-1-2. January 21st of 2012. Spiel the Wine debuted on WGRZ. I pitched it to the GM, and he was all game, and here we are.
And I not to put you on the spot for a number, but I think not too long ago I saw you quote how many consecutive shows have now been aired on Spiel the Wine, and it was pretty incredible.
Well, as much as I like to run it for 12 months, we run it through September through June, and we're off July, August, come back in September. And we'll be coming back September, I think it's like show 565, something like that.
Wow, so pushing 600 shows.
Yeah,
wow.
And I was reminded that, some of these shows don't last 3 or 4 weeks, so I'm very blessed to have this. And I think the driving force, Jeff, is the sponsorship, and it's the relationship of the people, my sponsors that have been with me, some of them since day one, that invest thousands of dollars as sponsors every month, that I'm very fortunate to still have them and call them my friends.
Right, that's great. And I think, if I remember correctly, was Francis Ford Coppola on a show? I mean, that's a pretty, I know that's a wine brand or maker today, but I thought you had the opportunity to actually interview him.
When I got onto television, I had a goal, who would I want to have on, and the first thing came to mind was Coppola, and I was still green in the business of television, that it wasn't until a year and a half later that getting to Coppola from this guy from Buffalo, New York, like, who's he? It took me about 7 months to get him, only at the 11th hour to have the plug pulled. And a phone call come to me on a Friday that I was to see him on Monday in New York, and they told me that he's busy and good luck, and I was gracious and thank you, maybe another time, but it was the next day I called California and I tried to find her, and long story short, I ended up interviewing him on that Monday. So those are some of the things that I like doing, is be ethical, be legal, but don't take no for an answer. If they only knew the amount of work I went to try to get him, and I do that a lot. I push the envelope, and I think I would never have done that as a 20-year-old, but today, why not? Take that calculated risk. If they say no, so what?
Yeah, and the better part of a year, but to get someone of that name and stature, incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So, what would you say if we were talking to students that, let's maybe talk on both ends, that are getting ready to start at Kenmore East, or maybe some seniors that are going to graduate and sort of hop off out into the world? Any advice that you would give to the folks starting, and then those maybe, exiting and getting ready for the next step?
It's probably cliche, but just be yourself, and don't take things so seriously. Have fun, but be responsible, be respectful, be on time, do the work, ask the questions, and try to be a symbol for somebody else. But I think the umbrella is have fun what you're doing. And try different things, because even when you graduate, and even when you're 30 years old, continue trying these things, because something's going to hit. And for me, that's all I did. I kept on trying these things, and boom.
What do they say? Throw it up against the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah,
right?
really. And the common thread through insurance, garden center, radio, television, and all that is just relationships. So build those rapports, surround yourself with good people, and ask the question.
Yeah, it takes it's interesting, as the older I get, I'll talk to some of the younger kids, or they'll ask me, and I'll say, "Go so fast, enjoy it." Your kids are going to grow up so fast. Those 4 years of college are going to go so fast. So absolutely do the work, right? Do the work, ask the questions, but enjoy it, because the journey.
Yeah, it's exactly
is really the reward.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now these are we're getting down to our last couple, so we're not going to keep you too long.
No, that's good.
But these next couple maybe get a little deeper. I mean, or at least as deep as we do on the Bulldog History Channel. This one says, "How would you like to be remembered?" That could be a deep one. But what do you think? How looking back, how would you like people to think, or how would you like to be remembered?
I really have never given that thought. I kind of leave that to the individual. But I think, who wouldn't want to be respected and have integrity? I think that's, what else is there? I mean, right?
Well, my dad said to me, he said, "You're born with it, and you die with it. Your reputation.
Yeah.
He said, protect it with everything you got.
Yep.
Everything you got. So I think that's some of the best advice.
What's that one saying that's true is that, it takes years to build that reputation and seconds to lose it.
Maybe one little event and you can
Yeah.
undercut what you've worked on for a decade, right?
Can I share one thing with you?
No, absolutely.
One of my favorite quotes is Warren Buffett,
Go.
and that is, you could always tell somebody to go to hell tomorrow. If you think about that, how many times we're in a tizzy and you just want to go after. No, chill.
Right.
Let it sit, because the next day you're going to say to yourself, thank God I didn't do what I was thinking of doing. Just sit a day. That's my advice to the graduates. Chill. Just don't take things so seriously, but wait a day or two before you act.
Right. Once it's out of the mouth, you can't grab it back. And if it's a family member or a business associate, right. I mean, that incredible advice. Sit back and don't write that email, or write it and sit on it for a day, right?
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
great advice.
Yeah.
So here's how we close. This is how we close all of our conversations and interviews on the Bulldog History Channel. In closing, what does it mean to you to be a Bulldog? And what would your thoughts be related on what is the meaning of Bulldog spirit? Being a Bulldog, and what is Bulldog spirit?
I think
Yeah, and you've
when you
Go
think
ahead.
of a bulldog, it goes to sports. I mean, so we won everything our senior year. I mean, with the diversity of our class, all the sports. I don't know, I may be missing something, but we had a wonderful athletic team, and many kids went on to carry that talent. But I think the Bulldog tradition is exactly what you're doing right now. I mean, to have this history channel that you're referring to, I don't know of many other schools. I don't know, Ken West is doing it or others, but this is the spirit that you're carrying the torch for all of us, and thank you for doing that.
And in related to the sports, I know, like I knew Mr. C, and I always wished I could work out and look like Mr. C.
Yeah.
So that preparation for everything, that
Yes.
grit and determination, that you don't win the victories and the titles that you guys did in your years without that hard work, that preparation, that grit, that never, like you said in your business, that never quit spirit.
Yeah.
Push and ask again.
You got it.
Yeah.
And Dick Adams, Sparky Adams, giving second chances. I mean, that was huge. I still talk about it. So.
Oh, and he saw something, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the beauty
He
of
was
a great
cool.
coach.
He was a
great
good
teacher.
man. And I hosted some of our reunions. The 40th, 45th, and 50th is coming up in 2028, and I invited Mr. Adams. He came to our 40th, I believe, with Gary Tock, and unfortunately passed away close to our 45th. But a unique man, a good man, and Gary Tock. Everybody, all those teachers, loved them all.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And this has been a fantastic morning with Mr. Kevin LoVullo, class of 1978, and this is Jeff Mueller signing off, class of 79, for the Bulldog History Channel. And as we close, once a Bulldog, always a Bulldog.
Right. Thank you, Jeff.